everyone here, and I'm glad you could be here with us. We're going to start off tonight with a Pledge of Allegiance, and it's going to be led by our board vice president, Doug Hurst. Doug? Thank you, Doug. We had a administrator spotlight tonight with Principal Katie Amsden, but there were some things that come up, so we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and jump right into recognitions with Laurie Adams, please.
Hey, President Widdowson and Superintendent Butters and board, I am pleased to share that one of our outstanding paraprofessionals, Nancy Spell, who's with us tonight, has been recognized as the Utah School Employee Association Paraeducator of the Year for the entire state of Utah. Nancy, will you come and join me? As she comes up, I just want to share with you a little bit about Nancy. Nancy is an exceptional member of our team working with the LIFE program at Canyon View. Her contributions span multiple levels of the program, and she has excelled in a variety of roles, from providing personal care to students with significant needs, to teaching lessons on independent living and job readiness, to supporting students on job sites and during community-based instruction. Her reliability and dedication are unmatched, and her commitment to her students makes her a cornerstone of our program. So we have a short video that we want to share with you. This is from the school, Nancy.
Nancy, look out, here comes T-Rex. Uh-oh.
Do you know what? I'm great.
Nancy, look out, here comes T-Rex. Uh-oh.
Do you know what? I'm grateful to have her a part of our team. As you can tell, she is a valuable piece, not just to Canyon View community, but to the community of Weber County and Weber School District. So grateful for her and glad she gets to work with us.
I love working with her. She definitely deserves this. And then when I found out it was the state, how amazing is that? And I definitely know she deserves that.
Nancy's really fun to work with. She's really kind. She's very helpful. She's always there. She likes to learn and helps me learn.
So I worked with Nancy for, years in the LIFE program. I watched her work with students of all different ability levels. She is their biggest advocate. But she not only advocates for students, she advocates for paraeducators too.
I really appreciate that. There's a lot of things that I talk to her personally about what matters to me. She really listens, and she can, since she is a para, she understands everything.
I used to have a student that I worked with that he would say, he was autistic, and he would say, "Nancy, you're a genius." And it just made me feel so good. But he was a challenge to work with, but it was rewarding. Being a paraeducator is a very rewarding job, especially here at Canyon View.
She goes above and beyond on a regular basis. The first thing in the morning, and she just takes on roles that nobody's asked her to do. So we have vans that they have to take out in the community. So she's just, the first thing in the morning, she goes and gets the vans, pulls them around, gets them ready for everyone. This wasn't something she was asked to do. This is something she just decided that would be helpful. That's just one example. There's many I can come up with of ways that she just goes above and beyond because she's a team player. She's amazing.
Nancy, the great part about her is she could be in any group. She's been in all of the programs, whether it be all the way to working one-on-one with students, and then kind of leveling up to the point where she could teach in the classroom. She's out in the community working with students to make sure that they are working on those independent living skills. Everything that we ask of her, she does.
I just love my job. I love my students. That's really the best part of my job. I'm motivated to get up in the morning every day so that I can see my students.
She is really personable with the students. She is always there. She meets them on their levels and advocates for them when they can't advocate for themselves very well.
She also finds ways to help me in the classroom. I do work with her in the classroom. Anything extra, if she sees that I'm busy, she's like, is there anything I can help you with?
She's worked with students like one-on-one that, you know, have significant disabilities and behavior. She's been amazing with them, but she can work also with groups of students and like, it's just, she's so flexible.
I feel like paraeducators, we're kind of just in the background, but we're crucial to helping teachers be successful and students to carry out, especially here in the LIFE program. We are the crucial part of carrying out those IEP goals.
We're just lucky to have her. We're so lucky to have her. She's going into teaching, so someday we're gonna lose her as a para, but somebody's gonna benefit from her as a teacher.
I've worked as a paraeducator in the Weber School District for 10 years, and I have loved it so much that I am going to school currently to become a teacher.
Congratulations, Nancy.
Congratulations, Nancy. You definitely deserve this.
Congratulations, Nancy. You're amazing, and we're so proud of all you've accomplished.
Congratulations, Nancy. I hope you have a wonderful time as we move forward in the nationals.
So as you can see, Nancy has a deep care and love for the students that she works with, and she's an invaluable asset to Canyon View. Thank you, Nancy. And on top of everything that she does, like mentioned in the video, she is pursuing her degree in education, and hopefully will stay with the district and be one of our certified teachers soon. So congratulations. With this honor and recognition that she received at the state level, she will now go on and compete at the national level in March of next year in California as representing the state of Utah as the Paraeducator of the Year. So we wish her luck, and Nancy, we are truly honored to have you part of our team and community here with the district. We'll give you the mic if you want to introduce your family.
My husband Greg, and my daughter McKenna, and my granddaughter Ivy, and my son-in-law Austin, my son Nathaniel, and my daughter Mary. And my daughter-in-law and son couldn't be here, but my daughter-in-law is a teacher at Fremont High School too.
Thanks, Nancy. Come up here.
Nancy, that's a well-deserved honor. Thank you. Moving on, let's go to board. You've had a chance to review the items on the consent calendar. Can I get a motion to approve that? Jan, and second, Janice. Any questions on that? Kelly?
I do. I have some questions, and I'm not sure who to address these questions for. So my question was for 4H, the approval of the comprehensive school improvement school success plans. So I don't know enough about this. Is that you, Brian? Okay. So these are our schools. They're our lowest performing schools that are on systems, USBE systems of support. Is that what these are? Or I just want a little bit more information on what. Yeah.
It is on. Okay. So comprehensive support and improvement schools are schools that went through a TSI process or designation, which lasted for about 3 to 4 years, then ATSI, which is additional targeted support and improvement, and then into comprehensive support and improvement. So they're focused on low performing student groups. There's 11 different indicators there. All of our schools that are in the program have varying student groups that they're supporting, whether it's students with disabilities, ELL students, and Hispanic students. It would be a mix of those three across the 5 schools. Only Title I schools can go from ATSI into CSI.
And CSI is better than ATSI?
No,
Worse.
it's
So
worse.
the ATSI is,
So TSI is the first tier
Or
that you
TSI,
would
sorry.
come in, then ATSI, then CSI, then MRI.
so if they don't come out of TSI, then they move down. So they're not moving into a better, they're moving into, okay, because I read all that, and that's where, I know we talked about this a couple years ago. Sherry Heider did a presentation on some of this, so that's where I was just, so now if they don't come through the CSI, they move down. So the goal is
To
to move
MRI.
back up,
The goal is to exit, period.
just to exit, so they
Yeah.
can exit at CSI.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I guess I read through at least 3 because 2 of them were just uploaded today. So I read through the 3 that were on there yesterday, and I was impressed with the plan. It looks like some of those schools are really working towards, their master schedule and coming together as a faculty and a lot of professional development work. I would love to see like mid-year update on how these schools are doing with their comprehensive plans. Like I said, I was impressed with the plan. I would also love to see like a year, oh, I just broke my pen. Year-end district-wide data on how we're doing on our state, our year-end testing, because I don't think, at least as long as I've been on the board, I've seen any district-wide data. I mean, I do get questions from constituents on how we're doing on testing, so I would love to see that. So anyways, maybe I'll set up a time to meet with you, because there were so many acronyms in those plans that I had no idea what they're about, so maybe we could talk through some of that another time. So you're the one kind of over this?
Yeah, and part
Okay.
of the reason that these actually landed
On
to
consent,
you
yeah.
guys is because we didn't have to get them approved for CSI funding.
Uh-huh.
But what I've done is taken the TSSA plan, Title I plan, CSI plans, ATSI
Right.
plans, and I've created one plan.
It
And
was a
so
great
this,
plan, by
this
the way.
will serve as both their CSI plan, their Title I plan, and their TSSA plans.
Yeah, I thought the format was great. How many other schools do we have on that system? Because it is systems of support, right? That's what
So
it is?
we've
Am
got.
I speaking to the right thing?
We have 62% of our schools are TSI, ATSI, or CSI.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, Kelly, one of the things you're going to see, we'll make sure that we get that data that you requested in front of you when we go over our first year outcomes for Elevate 28.
Are these just elementary schools, or that includes our secondary schools as well, the 62%? Okay.
Yeah. And also these school success plans, which this is obviously a very intensive
Yeah.
one, but every one of our school principals right now is in the process of putting one together for their school, aligned with our strategic plan. So we will take you through. You'll be
Perfect.
reading a lot of
I
great
would love
goals
that.
and yeah.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Thanks. Pam, is anybody, okay, no one has signed up for public comment, so we'll move on. Matt Williams, please.
Superintendent Board, I was asked by Mr. Nick Harris to present this for the online naming of our online system. So I have my helper here who did most of the work, Mr. Blake Pope. So Kelly, with the questions you have, refer them to Blake because he's the resident official, I guess. I was also on the committee, so it is this is the process that we need to go through. So our online learning in Weber School District, we do have a name right now, and we just recently applied to become an SOEP. And for those of you that don't know what SOEP, it's a statewide online educational provider. Okay, right now there's five current providers. Those are the ones that are listed. JUAB was just removed or pulled from the ranks, and as of June 6th, we are the 6th online provider. So we have been approved for that, Blake. That's correct, and so we'll move forward. So it's crucial that the name that we choose tonight that we'll present to you guys will be amongst those other 5 across the state. So we'll give you a little bit of information about the process that they did to receive the SOEP application and to be accepted for that. And these are all the ones that have been taken care of already. And as you see in the bottom left-hand corner, what we're doing is formalizing a program name tonight. So the need for the new name. So as they put together a committee and they started discussing the need for the new name, some things that were reasons for it. Current secondary online programs operate as 2 different online programs: Weber Online 7 and 8 and Weber Online 9 through 12 for those grades, right? Last year, all secondary online learning was operated under the umbrella of Innovation High School. And so informally, it became Innovation Online because it was operated out of Innovation High. And with our aspirations to take the online program statewide, a different name could be more effective, inclusive, and attract students from other parts of the state. And we use the Utah Online as an example. It's a Washington School District program, but they've chosen the name of Utah Online, and they were brilliant in doing so, right? So, and that's the one that's most popular right now that most people use. So there was a survey given to all the full-time students that were online, and they talked to and asked some questions. And first one was regarding the name change. Do you agree with the following statement? Weber Online 7 to 8 and Weber Online 9 through 12 should change their name for in the overview on this form or for other reasons. And you can see the feedback. So it was yes. It was, I really don't have strong feelings as 30% of that. And then there were no no's that opposed that. Another question from the survey was regarding the name of the program. If Weber Online 7 and 8 and Weber Online 9 through 12 combine and change their name, should the school formally adopt the Innovation Online or something else? And you can see that everybody but one person thought that it should adopt Innovation Online. Weber Online, it was in one of our teachers' hearts, I think it was, because they're very proud of the Weber name and Weber District, and that's why he thought that we should keep the Weber Online name. But if we're going statewide and we want to attract people, the name Weber Online makes it sound like it's just for Weber County students, right? Weber District students. So some of the relevant stakeholder survey feedback was, here's some interesting comments. I think Innovation Online 7 through 12 is a good name, but does it, oh, and this is, sorry, this is from the state, is that right? That's the next slide. Okay, yeah. So this is from our stakeholders. And one comment was, I think Innovation Online is a good name, 7 through 12. But there's more to that. As an instructor in both the junior high and high school online program, I can see it being confusing if the 2 groups are not combined and governed under the same name. A name that is general, like Innovation Online, will be more marketable to the rest of the state, like Washington County runs through Utah Online. And then we could pull students from all over. And then one of the students said, just maybe something funner sounding, right? So that's always good. We want a little bit more funner. So I guess Weber Online 7, 8 is not that fun. So here's some feedback from USBE as they went through the process to be accepted as an SOEP. And it says statewide online education providers serve middle school and high school students, so 6 through 12. And where we have junior highs and high schools, we're 7 through 12. So if we kept the 7 through 12, we would discourage some 6th graders that could possibly still be a part of this to take classes, right? It was advised that we drop the 712 from the name in the event we decided to offer asynchronous sixth grade courses in the future. And the next bullet, sixth grade students are eligible to take our seventh grade courses, so dropping 712 would help prevent students and family confusion. And we don't have to offer sixth grade courses, and we won't be this upcoming year. However, it does give us room so if we decide to expand those offerings. Some of the committee feedback. The committee was made up of parents, students, teachers, classified staff, administrators, secondary director, facilitator, facilities director, foundation director, and board member. Most people noted the overall feeling of excitement that this process brings. There was pride in the innovation name and the hard-won reputation it already has among Weber School District employees and families. One committee member remarked, "Innovation is a name worth pursuing. It sparks curiosity and aligns with our district's mission statements of who we are." And so our official recommendation to you is for Weber Online 7-8 and Weber Online 9-12 be consolidated into one program, and that the name would be Innovation Online. So I recommend to you tonight that we rename our online program as Innovation Online. President.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for Mr. Williams? Wonderful.
I just have one question.
I knew you would.
I know.
Blake, come here.
Will this will be open and available for the fall, for this current fall, or is it one more year out?
Yeah. So with the current rules that are established for SOEP, schools, when they apply, they wait a year until they can get started. However, we've been granted an exception that we can start this August, and so we have high aspirations. And we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we plan to open our enrollment this August for statewide students.
Awesome. Thanks, Blake. I know you and Nick have done a lot of work, so I just want to thank you for doing all that. Also, in terms of out-of-district students who want to take a course, in terms of fee, because it'll still be free except for summer, free for in-district students. Summer has a fee. Is the out-of-state or out-of-district students, will their fee be the same as the summer fee, or will they be a different schedule?
Yeah, that's a good question. So currently, with our online offerings, students pay a $35 a term course fee to enroll. It will be that'll maintain the same for our in-district students. I like to use the term at no cost when it comes to this. For instance, any Weber School District student who's currently participating in one of our SOEP, I don't know if I want to call them competitors, but another SOEP provider, they effectively prorate that student's WPU, and that comes out of Weber School District. So we effectively end up paying another LEA to educate one of our students. And so it's our biggest aspiration with this that Weber School District should be able to take care of all of its own kids, and we shouldn't be sending any of our kids to other LEAs. We should be able to provide that service in-house. And then also get into the term that we've been using a lot is what is the maximum, what is the utilization of the maximum possible enrollment? And so we want to increase our utilization of the maximum possible enrollment. Meaning every student in Weber School District plus.
And how are we advertising for this statewide moving forward for the next school year and district-wide?
So the only formal advertising that we do right now is through USBE. You'll notice on the State Board Education's website that they have a page for the official statewide online education providers. Right now, you'll only see those 5 names right there of the approved programs. Next week, you'll see a 6th name on there, Innovation Online. And so we're advertised through the state. However, as you drive down I-15 and you look at the billboards, you will see advertising for these other programs. It's something that we definitely have to be mindful of in the future of of what is going to be the most impactful way to get our name out there. Of course, all of us in here know that the most impactful thing is going to be word of mouth. People have a positive experience. They share that with their friends and family, and that sinks in. But then you also have to take into account, what's our social media presence going to look like? What is our, marketing materials going to look like? A lot of folks have mailers that they send out. So all of that is going to be something that we have to figure out soon.
Kelly, I've suggested that Nick and Blake put together a commercial that we could send statewide, and do it. Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah, that's that logo is what we've been operating with this year. That was developed by our communications and community engagement department with Ryan James and Sean Potiker. That's what they designed for us.
Yeah.
I really do like how sharp it turned out.
Is there any concern that we have an Innovation High School and an Innovation Online now?
One of the members on our committee had a question like that, and it was really cool. The parent response for it was, "Oh, I like that it's associated with Innovation High," because their perception of Innovation High School is like, "Oh, well, this is a premier experience here in Weber School District, and I want it to feel like that for online. I want it to feel like a premier online experience." As we move into the future of this new era, we'll have to see what that how that impacts that relationship between the two entities.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, board, I'd look for a motion to approve the proposed new name of the district's online program as Innovation Online. Bruce, second by Wiley. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks. Superintendent.
Board. I lost it again. Oh, there it is. I just wanted to make you aware, just as a quick reminder, we are currently responding to the Lieutenant Governor's decision to place a hold on HB 267. As you know, that's the legislation around public labor union amendments. And in addition, we're awaiting the outcome of the referendum signature certification process, and we should have an idea of if they're going to place that referendum on the ballot on or around June 21st, in the next little bit. Last board meeting, May's board meeting, we sought and received your approval to move forward with finalizing the salary and COLA and benefits packages for our 3 employee groups. And if the referendum is certified and the measure is officially placed on the ballot, we plan to re-engage with our 3 employee groups this summer and potentially review their agreements and bring those to you sometime probably August, September-ish for your approval. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of context that we're still waiting on a few things, but tonight we're going to ask that you take a look at the salary and compensation and benefits packages.
Thanks, Superintendent. Let's have our human resource directors come up, Laurie and Nicole, and run us through this just a little bit.
Okay. So what a ride. This has been interesting this year with negotiations. It's been all over the place. But what we have tonight is just brief. It's just what Superintendent Butters just mentioned is that we are currently working with all of our employee groups in terms of letting them know. We've met with all of them about the plan of what we're doing moving forward, depending upon the legislation and the hold that's in place right now. So what we would like to propose is that we extend the WESP, so our education support professionals, extend their agreement to match the WEA and WA to September 30th. So currently our WEA agreement deadline is September 30th. And so if we bring all those 3 into alignment, then it'll be a little easier for us as we move forward with that announcement on June or around June 21st. And then if the referendum is approved, we will resume negotiations with employee groups to discuss potential language changes within those professional agreements. Once the negotiations are complete, finalized agreements will be presented to the board for approval, as Superintendent Butters mentioned, either in August or September. And then if the proposed legislation remains in effect, we will proceed with transitioning to our current professional agreements into employee handbooks, as we've previously presented to the board what our plan would look like if we had to go that direction. And then some of our proposed compensation and benefits. And so the district has always, Weber School District has always been committed to offering a compensation package that honors employee dedication, but staying responsible within budget limits. So using the projected 4% WPU increase as our foundation, a data-informed proposal has been developed for the upcoming year. And Laurie's going to go into more detail on that. But our COLA this year, the Utah legislature and the governor approved for licensed educators a $1,446 total salary increase, which is a $1,000 ongoing raise and $446 from the 4% WPU increase. And then our educational support staff will receive a $1,000 one-time bonus. And Laurie will go into a little bit more specific detail on those.
So with that information, what we propose is that the district will fully fund, excuse me, lane changes and step increases for this next contract year with a 1.25% base salary increase. And then the district will also contribute, thank you. The district will also contribute to those employees that are in the Tier 2 retirement system a 0.11% of their gross salary into a 401k. And currently they are contributing a 0.10% into a 401k. And the reason for that being is that the legislator last year mandated that those employees that are in Tier 2, that they pay 0.10% of their base salary into the Utah retirement system for Tier 2 employees. And so that is a way that the district can help to supplement those funds that are being pulled from the employees into the retirement system. Also, as previously mentioned, it's proposed that employees, the educational support staff, will receive a $1,000 one-time bonus, and then all your licensed educators will also receive a $1,000 one-time bonus. And when we look at the bonus eligibility, the state will look at the numbers as of September 1st. So employees who are employed with the district on September 1st, who are contracted working 4 hours or more, will be eligible for this one-time bonus. And it will be prorated on the amount being paid based on whether they are a full-time employee or a part-time employee. So based on their FTE status. Any questions with the proposal of the compensation? It will be paid out on December 1st. Thanks, Jan, I missed that. Yeah, December 1st. Yep. So if they terminate prior to that, they would not receive it. Yep. So moving on to insurance, working with our insurance committee, they've done a great job negotiating with the insurance carriers for this next upcoming year. With our medical insurance, we're going to remain with Select Health. It come to a renewal rate of 9.3%, and the insurance committee, we were able to negotiate that down to a 6.4% increase. And it's proposed that the district would pay their share of that cost and premium increase, and the employee pay their share. Currently, the contribution from the employer, as us as a district, we pay about 80% of the premium rate for a full-time employee, and the employee pays 20% of the premium. Dental insurance, we are going to remain with Delta Dental as our insurance, and it's proposed that we do a 6.1% premium increase. With our dental insurance, we are self-funded, and so we have the ability to manage what those funds are. If we find that we are increasing in a reserve balance of funds, the committee will look at doing a premium holiday for employees. With our vision insurance, it's proposed to remain with VSP as a provider with no premium increase this next year. For the HRA, which is the health reimbursement account, this is contributed into an account for all of our education support professionals who have health insurance through the district, as well as our administrators. And it's proposed that the district align with the COLA increase and increase the amount contributed to this fund by 1.25%. And then the district will continue to contribute funds into an HSA, the health savings account, for those who have our insurance at the following rates, dependent upon what plan the employee is on. And those funds will be contributed November 1st. We will front load those amounts into the employee's HSA account to help them if they have cost at the beginning of the plan year, which begins September 1, so that they have those funds to help with that deductible, meeting that deductible. Is there any questions? They are the same as last year. Yep. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So we have a recommendation. Can we have a recommendation for approval of our benefits and the compensation for this next upcoming year?
Thank you. Board, it's been recommended that we approve the proposed employee COLA and benefits package for the 2025-2026 school year. I need a motion. Janice, second. Wiley, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Hadley, please.
President Wissenson, board members, Superintendent Butters, I have two memos tonight to go over with you. One is the warehouse office remodel with a GMP, which is a not to exceed number, which I'll discuss in just a second. But you may remember in May we presented you with the architect and contractor that we had selected for those remodels. The architect is Design West and the contractor is Hogan Construction. This remodel, as we talked about, will allow us to consolidate some spaces between facilities, child nutrition, and custodial to locate these three departments at the warehouse and open up space in our Two Rivers building to where we can place either Horizon Academy, Adult Ed at Night, rearrange Two Rivers. How it opens up a lot of possibilities for us. So this move also opens up space in our maintenance area to move custodial out to where we can open a new bay that we can have our buses either with a mechanic and or a technology bay where we are adding cameras, updating cameras, and adding laptops for route tracking for parents to track their students on the bus. So it opens up a lot of possibilities for us. In regards to this remodel, we held a walkthrough with all the subcontractors on the 28th of May, and the bid opening was held June 4th. The process from the bid opening it now heads to our valued engineering process where we can fine-tune the bid. We have an opening number as a GMP, but it is not the final number. But knowing that we don't have a board meeting in July, we'd like to present you with a not-to-exceed number, and that not-to-exceed number, I can then calculate the architectural fees because it's a % of the GMP. So tonight, what I'd like to do is give you those two numbers. I'd like to present to you a not-to-exceed number for the actual construction as $3,634,784. Using this not-to-exceed number, I can calculate that the Design West architectural fee will be not to exceed $266,429.66. This also allows us, these not-to-exceed numbers, to calculate a little bit on our maintenance bay, which we will do as a change order to this AIA contract. But we can do that with a structured Design West fee of $77,794. So there's two parts to this. There's a GMP, a AIA change order, and then the architectural fees. So we present to you tonight the two not to exceed numbers so we can proceed with construction. starting in June. So I present you those two numbers. Can I answer any questions?
Where does the 3.6 million come in terms of budget? Because I know we had this huge discussion about capital and maintenance. So do you guys have, because I know we didn't bond for it.
No, this is what Superintendent Butters and Mr. Mitchell and I have been working on to where we gain these funds. And what they need is basically a not to exceed number to where we can pull these funds from different accounts. And I think Mr. Mitchell can probably speak to those accounts to you if you had any questions.
Yeah, we had targeted a couple different areas. We had the lots that were sold, that we still have some remaining balance there. A few years back, the state allocated nearly $4 million to districts for capital expenses, and that has been used very slightly. I think we have closer to 3.6 million still available. And then we have some investments in Wells Fargo that have just coming to mature. We had one last week. We have another one next week that we talked about, in reinvesting some, but utilizing some of these on some projects that we have in the works.
I'd like to present to the board those numbers so we can proceed if that's okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, this is kind of a long one, board. Like Mr. Hadley said, there's several parts to it. So board, so I'm going to read it to you. Board, it's been recommended that we approve the not to exceed GMP numbers for the construction of the warehouse office remodel project of $3,634,784, along with the coinciding architectural fees of $266,429.66, as well as the associated architectural fees associated with the change order to the transportation facility, $77,794. I need a motion to approve that. Kelly, a second. Bruce, any further discussions or questions for Mr. Hadley? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Can I just ask one?
Oh, go ahead.
Can I just ask one question? As they vacate that, then that would require also some renovation, is that correct?
If that's okay.
On the Two Rivers property.
Trying to go back to answer Kelly's question. Once we vacate that area, we're hoping in December of this year that we, as a maintenance department, would do the construction on the
Okay.
Two Rivers building to add the classrooms. We're just waiting for the layout to discuss when we talk to the principal of Two Rivers and adult ed and the superintendency. We've got 3 or 4 options already.
But there's possibilities to do it from within.
That's correct.
Thank
That
you,
is
Larry.
correct. And that would be ready for the next school year.
Right.
Thank you. I have one more.
You have one more, go ahead.
Yes, sir. In regards to the roadway west of the Weber Innovation Center and the new road on the north end of IFA's lot, this is the road, the IFA road. We have conducted a job walk and the RFP for bids. There were 2 companies that bid on this project. Before we awarded this contract, which we have not, but we're getting close to, I thought it was prudent that we sit down with them, each company, to explain a little bit of the history of why the roadway, and that they would be working not only with Weber School District, but IFA will also have a consultant that we will talk to and work with. I also wanted to let them know of the constraints we have in purchasing the land, which I need you to understand we are working on and have actually put the package together for IFA today. There were some details to work through IFA. I cannot start the construction until the land is purchased, and that's what I wanted to sit and talk to these 2 construction companies before we award the bid. But I have to get the asphalt in before the end of October, and I'd like to be done before the start of school. So there's some serious time constraints with each one of these groups. So knowing that, we actually have a not to exceed number on this as well, and we should be awarding this probably by the end of the week. We hope that the land purchase is finalized in the next week or 2 so we can start. We think this is a 6 to 8 week project that puts us right at the doorstep of the school year. The not to exceed number to build this road is $394,534.50. This will complete the process with IFA as we finish this road. I have worked with the principal of the WIC, the older one. I will work with the new one to let them know about that constraint that they're going to have in the parking area as we work through the summer, and then how that roadway is actually going to go. We've also discussed moving the dumpster out of that one corner to allow a larger radius for our buses to pass one another. So tonight I'd like to recommend to the board to approve the construction of this roadway with this not to exceed construction number, so we can start the construction end of June, 1st of July.
It'll sure be good to get this done, won't
Yes,
it?
sir.
Board, I'd look for a motion to approve the selected construction manager general contractors construction cost of the IFA roadway not to exceed the stated total construction costs cited at $394,534.50. A motion, please. Wiley, second. Jan, any questions, discussion? Oh, Doug, go ahead.
One quick
Yes, sir.
question. It's 50 cents, we can do that, but on the other one, Design West, it's 66 cents.
Yes, sir.
Where are we gonna get the other penny to pay them, or we round
We
it to
will.
seven? Pennies are going away.
I hope with the VE process, we get the cents to go away.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, sir.
A penny saved is a penny or?
I agree.
How far are they into the VEs?
We have the roadway almost complete to be awarded, and I know that this 394 numbers we're gonna get it way down.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
If you
I was,
understood
and
where you're at,
if Superintendent Butters is okay, I could probably present to you the actual numbers in our next capital improvement meeting.
Great. That'd be
Okay.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Heidi Alder, please.
Evening, Board. We just have 2 policies to present on second reading, and then 3 policies to present on first reading. The first policy for second reading is policy 3370, time and effort policy. We didn't have any comments or feedback on that policy, and so we would present that to the board to adopt on a second reading.
Thank you. Board, I need a motion to approve new policy 3370, time and effort on a second reading, please. Doug and Jan, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Second policy for second reading is a salary supplement for highly needed educators program, policy 7200. It is a new policy. We did make a couple of changes since last month. We added some changes to definitions and then explained in some detail what the appeals process is like. I would submit policy 7200 to the board to be adopted on second reading.
Thank you. Board, I'd ask for a motion to approve new policy 7200, salary supplement for highly needed educators on a second reading, please. Bruce and Janice, any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
We have 3 new policies. The first is policy 1160, legal counsel. It is created to formally establish the role, responsibilities, and structures of legal counsel within the school district. We would submit this policy to the board on first reading.
Thank you. Board, I'd ask for a motion to approve new policy 1160, legal counsel on a first reading, please. Jan and Wiley, any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next is policy 4170, which is our attendance policy. This is an amendment to this policy. It was revised to include changes required by law, as well as to add school-wide strategies and interventions to address absenteeism. I would submit policy 4170 to be adopted on a first reading.
Thank you. I'll look for a motion to approve revised policy 4170, attendance on a first reading. Kelly, second. Janice, any questions or comments?
The only comment I have, I know this is only our first read, but just before the new school year starts, we talked about this in policy committee, that this would just be something, like I said in study session, attendance and how to do that is confusing enough as a parent, so it'd be great to have some sort of separate messaging to parents about the attendance policy, because I know in the registration materials, people tend to not read every policy that's in those registration materials. So that's just my only comment on that one.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And one more, go ahead.
It says policy 7700 is a current policy that we have, the family and medical leave policy, and we are proposing to rename the policy to the family medical and parental leave policy and to include provisions for parental leave eligibility, postpartum recovery leave eligibility, as is required by recent legislation. We would present policy 7700 to the board on a first reading.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask for a motion to approve revised policy 7700, Family Medical Leave Act, on a first reading, please. Jan, second. Wiley, any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi and Heather and the committee, those of you that serve on the committee, that's been a lot of hard work. And it will continue to be so. We'll turn some time over to Brock Mitchell, please. Brock will present us the final budget for the 2024-2025, as well as the working or proposed budget for 2025-2026.
All right. Board, you should have the newest version. We sent you a draft and have made some slight modifications since that draft. So you should have that newest version. We've asked Dave and Clyde to hand out some as well. We're going to take you through our last opportunity as a district to modify the fiscal year 25 budget to ensure that we're in compliance as we go into our audit, as well as the proposed budget for fiscal year 26. So that's what we'll review today. One piece of this will be the actual audited results from fiscal year 24. So you'll see 3 years worth of budget. One is final, fiscal year 24. One is fiscal year 25, which we still have 20 days remaining. So there is going to be some activity in that, and then closing off with the proposal next year. I want to take just a quick second. You guys know Ben has been here 2 whole months, and he has jumped in, and he and I have dug into this. I want to express my gratitude to him because he comes with a wealth of experience and knowledge, and we wouldn't have this prepared without his expertise. So, we made a great hire in bringing Ben in. So I just want to acknowledge that in front of the board. So jumping into this, fiscal year 24 starts on page 1, looks at revenue at the top. Again, these have been audited, so they're final. There's a couple trends that I want to point out as we talk through these. We're not going to hit every line through this entire packet, but there are definitely some that I want to highlight because I think it's important that we acknowledge and we understand the landscape around school funding and education as a whole going forward. And
Brock,
some
when
of
you
the
say fiscal year 24, is that 24 to 25 or 23 to
23 to 24.
Okay.
Yeah. So last school year essentially. Yeah. Correct. Yep. Fiscal year is July 1st through June 30th. Yep. Okay. So in looking at this, revenue is brought in a handful of places. So looking at the local side, we have our local levies. So that's the board at the voted that comes into this. This is our general fund. The general fund can be utilized for a wide array of areas. We have $34,711,485 that came in that fiscal year. You'll see under the state is a state basic rate. That is the rate that the state sets for us. But as a district, we have to levy inside our county. And that gives us the access to the minimum school program, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But that is the state rate that is required by legislative action. Going down a little further, the income investment, that's just under $7 million. We have seen that ballooned up a little bit. 3 years ago, it was under $1 million. And that following year, we then started with our bond proceeds, right, bringing in all the different bonds from the vote years ago. And with that fund balance being as high as it was because of those bond proceeds, our income in those investments went up through the PTIF. We anticipate one more year of some of that because we're still going through some building, but it will start to diminish back down to where it was pre-bond cycle. So just want to kind of highlight that is not income that we can count on year over year because it depends on the fund balance in those accounts. The other is any other that comes into the districts, whether it be donations, whether it be sales of land, different opportunities for us to bring in different revenue. So one thing that Ben and I have talked about is getting a little more detailed in these reports. We've looked at a couple other districts, and there's some different areas where we want to be able to dive in a little bit more. And so that's something over the next year to 2 years we're going to try and do for you guys. Continue down on the state side, you see those state unrestricted, state categorical. The state unrestricted is driven by the WPU. So that rate 2 years ago, multiplied by the number of students we had, is where those unrestricted funds come in. That includes CTE, that includes special education add-on, that's our class size reduction funding. There's a large number of programs that go into that. The state categorical is when we talk above the line, below the line, those are the two, above the line and below the line. So the state categorical is not driven by WPU. That is, there's a pot of money statewide, and it's divvied out proportionally to districts across the state. And so that is where we get some of our different grants from the state, our concurrent enrollment, our AP funding. There's a wide array that go into those. But you can see there the state is a heavy driver of our revenue. And then under federal, this is one I want to spend just a minute on. You can see in fiscal year 24 there was 18.7 million. If you go back 2 years to fiscal year 22, that was over 30 million. And then the next year, fiscal year 23, was about 21 million. That is the COVID ESSER money, where the federal government was giving districts large sums of money. This upcoming year, current year that we're just closing out, has dropped down to about 8 million. And so when we talk our revenue as a district, that's one place where we are going to see a decrease in revenue, is because those ESSER funds are no longer available to the districts. We do still get all of our title funds through there, Title I, Title II, Title IV, and so we still get a handful. Special education still has a handful, but when we talk special education, they do not fully fund special education from the federal level, so that's something that as a district we do supplement. And so those federal funds don't meet kind of what the expectation was when that program was started. But I did want to point out that that federal funding is decreasing. Okay? As you roll down into school food services, and I'll hit this a little bit more detailed in a couple of slides.
Can you remind me what M&O stands for?
Maintenance and operation. Yep. For the sales, when we talk sales of school lunch, that's just students purchasing lunches in our schools. So 4.5 or just about 4.6 million. State liquor fees. This is the state takes all of the liquor taxes and divvies that out in a percentage rate to the schools. That's something, in talking with Candace Parr, our child nutrition supervisor, at one point it was 80 cents, then it jumped up to $1.25. This is per meal, and that $1.25 represents the 3.9 million there. This year it's dropping down to 75 cents. So we can expect to see a pretty significant decrease in that state liquor fees as well. And then the federal allocation, we get a portion for any meal that we sell, any free and reduced student. We submit for that. Our summer program receives some allocations for that as well as some USDA commodities. They process, instead of us buying the already processed, we can use those commodity vouchers to actually have the meats processed for us to help save us some funds. Moving down a little further down into capital. This one is a little deceiving because of the bottom line there, that bond proceeds. So that revenue shows 78 million, but that is bond money. And so we know that's not an ongoing amount that we can count on. This current year, fiscal year 25, we did our lease revenue bonds, which is the last bond amount that we're putting in. So there won't be those bond proceeds moving into 26. So I just want to point that out. But property taxes fund this in a similar amount. If you guys remember, a few years ago we made some adjustments to the voted and capital, and that's where this is showing. And then same idea with the investments. We are earning that because, again, the balance in those accounts are pretty high. Continuing down, student activity, those are done at the school level. So when we talk about different class fees, different donations that come to schools, that's what funds that activity. Our goal in the grand scheme of things is for that to be basically net neutral. The funds that come into the school should be spent on those students at that school, when they're there. And so we don't look to grow a fund balance necessarily there. We want those schools to be self-sustained the best they can, and then we supplement on our end through our block grant and other areas where we can. But these are more the school fees and the buying the supplies and materials for the classrooms themselves.
But that is decreasing though
Yep,
because of
and-
state code.
And I've got that shown in a little bit later. The foundation runs on their own. We help to report because they are part of our district as a whole, but they do their own accounting and then they just do a transfer into our district. And so Ben's working with Emily and Jamie on finalizing that, but they do work with our audit company as well, so we know that that's correct. And then the debt service fund is to pay our bond repayment amounts, and so that's where that amount is, and that's set by the county because they know exactly what our repayments are going to be. So all in all, in fiscal year 24, our total revenue was $512,750,123. That's our revenues. Now, where does that go? That's the big question. So we look the next page, that's expenses. As a whole, as a district, we put a lot of expenses into people, which makes sense. Our employees make up the lion's share, which they should, of our expenses. So we've got that broken down. In the box, you can see how those individual descriptions are called functions. And so when we look in our financial systems, we talk funds and functions. So general is a fund, those individual are the functions. So 72.04% of our expenses go towards our instructors, right? Our teachers, our counselors, those that are directly working with our students. Student support services brings in some of our mental health therapists. School administration this is not just the administrators, this includes our office staff as well, those that help our schools run, not necessarily dictated by the ebb and flow of the student population. That's just who is needed to make the schools run. District administration is those that work at the district level to support all of our students. And then you have the finance tech, maintenance, custodial, and transportation. There's a couple of things I want to point out there. The district office and administration, that's a decrease. We kind of pride ourselves on making sure that we are functioning with just what's needed at the district level. That is a decrease from previous years. The school administration, you would see an increase. Part of that is because we did open 3 new schools. So when you open new schools, you bring in new administrators to help staff those schools. Very similarly with maintenance and custodial, bringing in new schools increases the need for maintenance and custodial to make sure that they're functioning. So that is a little bit of an increase as well. But you can see that of all of our expenses, 61% are going to compensation, and 72% of that is to our educators. Working down that side, school food services, compensation, and then non-compensation. Non-compensation is more of the supplies, the food, everything that goes into that. So that makes sense where the food is a pretty heavy amount, and I'll show you that here pretty soon. Capital outlay, that one's, again, high numbers because of the expenses that went out in the building of the schools. That's not going to be something that continues as we don't have the large builds going on. But you can see there, we're making some further adjustments to where compensation in capital fund is going to be pulled out of there. We want to make sure that all capital funds go to the capital needs of the district. And so that's one place that we're going to look to try and streamline and do a better job of making sure that our money's going in the right places. Student activity, those compensations, you're looking at our coaches and our advisors for different groups and clubs. Non-compensation is everything else that happens at a school, which there is a lot of it. So it's a big, vast expenditure when we look at different schools. Again, the foundation, that's just run through us to help facilitate their needs. And then debt service, all of that again goes to the general obligation bonds. So you can see there, our total fund, all funds, is $540,359,598 expended in fiscal year 24. Okay. Continuing on. Next slide is our projected fund balances. And so when we talk projected fund balance, this is what we're anticipating happening at the end of the year. And so we know, again, fiscal year 24 is finalized. We know that those are the fund balances there. So as a district, you can see where we're at with our fund balances. We know that capital, again, because of building, is probably not going to sustain long term. But you can see where that lands. For fiscal year 25 estimations, this is a little bit trickier because we don't know what the next couple weeks are going to bring. And as we go into August, we can still see some of the outstanding expenses kind of hit our ledgers, as well as revenues. There's a lot of revenues that roll in up through August. So we could see our fund balance actually increase because of that revenues that coming in. So this is just, again, it's an estimation. It's hard to know exactly where we're going to land, but we will update this as we get through August. This again will be something that is audited. You know, Squire will come in and work with Ben and myself on that, and we have our audit findings in December. So we'll kind of update you in December where these things land. Okay. All right. Budget highlights. There are some important things we want to highlight here. A couple of these Laurie and Nicole already touched on, but I think it's important that we acknowledge one fact that we've seen for a while is declining enrollment in our district. So you can see over the last handful of years, we have lost a pretty good amount of students. We had one bump back in 21-22 of 534. As Ben and I talked, we know that that's when students may have come back from COVID, and so we anticipated that. We are seeing a little bit of a dip year over year going forward. We anticipate, just on a head count that we pull, 319 fewer students going into the next year. A lot of that is kind of a buffer that we build in for kindergarten because we don't know exactly what is going to happen at the kindergarten level. We can anticipate first going to second, second going to third. It's the incoming kindergarten that's tough. But what we'll also start seeing is, you can see that next line, the charters. I mean, there's a couple bumps here and there, but for the most part, they're flat because charters have a cap on their enrollment. So that's something where we're not losing an overwhelming amount of charters, but if we can bring any student back into our district, that's our goal. And that's, I think, Innovation Online is a big selling point for that. Yeah, so I think that will help us out, as well as our PCBL focus at Innovation High. So there's a few strategies that we're looking at. Compensation costs, we know that's a huge component of this. I think this is an important one to make sure we keep an eye on. We don't want our compensation outpacing our revenues. So this is somewhere that we're going to want to watch. You know, Dr. Peterson, when he was in my role, he talked a lot about when we're declining, we should see that same trend in our FTE. Not looking to remove educators, but just through natural attrition. If we have retirees, do we need to rehire? Can we consolidate? And so that's something I think we should look at. And there's some conversations around other avenues with this. But one thing I know that was a big push over years is making sure that our starting rate for our educators was taken into account. And I think we've done a really good job of that. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. But we're approaching well above where I think the goal was initially, which is helping to retain teachers in our district. It's a really positive thing. And then hitting what Laurie and Nicole talked about, you can see our compensation, the funding of the steps and lanes, the base increase of 1.25%, the health insurance increase, and then that one-time stipend for licensed employees. Important to note that is including the benefits. The benefits are going to be included in that. You're looking at about 7.64 ongoing money for that purpose, with the exception of that one-time stipend, because that is simply just a one-time stipend. We also have 5 of our elementaries that were at 0.8 or a part-time counselors. With only 5 of them, we felt this was the time to make sure every elementary school had a full-time counselor. And so we're going to use some of this ongoing money to make sure that every elementary school has that full-time counselor, because there are needs in those schools. And then we have a handful of educators who are on our teacher salary scale that are not generating that educator salary adjustment. And for this next year, it's $10,350. We want to make sure that we can support and sustain what's been promised to them in the past. And so we've got some of this ongoing money into that. So you can see our full expenses there, just under $8 million. To make that happen, the local revenue growth, we're anticipating a little over $1 million there, and that's from increased tax revenue. And I will talk to kind of an unknown situation here in just a minute with that. But TSSA money is another portion. We can use 25% of our TSSA allocation on salaries. This is the final year of any TSSA growth. There was legislation put in place that caps that TSSA growth as a property tax. And so this $375,000, this is the last year for that. So that amount won't be available going forward. We know there was a WPU rise of 4%. Wanted to acknowledge the 1.1% enrollment decline as well, just as we're thinking through that. But that WPU rise does bring in an extra $3.5 million. And then to help make sure that we're bringing this in, especially with that one-time stipend. We have had multiple years where we've done well with our income on our interest, and so we're going to utilize and dip into that a little bit to make sure we can meet our expectations for our educators. We want to support all of our educators the best way we can, and so we felt like that was a valid use of those funds. And then on the very bottom of that sheet, you can see our starting salary for our teachers. Our first-year teacher this upcoming year is $59,061, and so for that to be a first-year educator is pretty impressive. Any questions up to this point? Okay. Last couple things before I wrap out. These are just some of the capital outlays that have gone on since the bond. I felt like it was relevant to keep in here for anyone who's curious and looking over these down the road. But we opened 3 of our schools, so big kudos to all involved, Larry and his team, making sure that gets done. Rebuild of Roosevelt, I know we've got a scheduled visit here in the next 2 weeks. That is on time and ready to go for August. Those kids are going to be ready and excited. And then Larry's talked to the warehouse remodel. And I think it's worth, again, reiterating, that helps us with our needs at Two Rivers with adult education or Horizon, making sure that school is secure and has the resources it needs to be successful. And then a huge part of capital outlay, which we did discuss in the board study session a week and a half ago, is some of those safety upgrades as they start moving through the legislature of the requirements of the audio enhancement system, the door locks, the film on the glass, the guardians. We're excited to have the opportunity to apply for grants and get as much of that grant funding as we can. Anything outside of that, we're gonna have to find a way to make sure that we meet those requirements, and so that's going to be done through the capital outlay. And then the last part of this is last year there was a textbook adoption for our elementary reading. We have not done a math adoption since 2012, and I was teaching math at that time. So it's been a while since we did a math adoption. And really what's been happening is over the last handful of years, our educators are the ones creating the curriculum, and that's really hard on them. It's taken its toll on them. So our curriculum department's going to go out and start looking at this, and that is something that can become a capital because we do capitalize those books into the schools. So those are some of the highlights that we're looking at. Last two here, the big thing I wanted to highlight on this is with our child nutrition. We talked a little bit earlier on kind of where we stand. If you look at the 24-25, the federal, we're anticipating a little bit lower, but again, through August we may receive some of this. State, because of that state liquor tax, is going to be a little bit reduced, but the number of kids that are eating lunches looks like it's gone up, and that's a positive thing. We're seeing those kids engage in the schools. Compensation's relatively flat, but I think it's worth noting the food on that. If you guys remember last year, we went into a co-op for our child nutrition, and the food costs have dropped. We're estimating almost $1.5 million, which is pretty awesome. We don't have the warehouse storage, we don't have the employees that have to man the warehouse, and any spoilage that comes from that. So going to the co-op appears 1 year in to be the right move, right? So I commend our child nutrition department on looking into different options. And then other, when we talk about that, it's supplies and repairs and anything that happens within our kitchen. 2 board meetings ago, we did discuss and approve a increase to the meal price. The goal with child nutrition is to be a self-sustaining program with the help from the local funds, the state, and then the federal income. During COVID, we had some pretty big, if you look back 21, 22, you see upwards of $6 million in that fund balance. The state doesn't like that. They want it down between 1 and 2. And so we anticipate and knew that we were going to dive into that for the last couple of years. That was planned. But now we need to get back to where we're sustaining ourselves. And that was part of the reason behind those meal plan changes. Okay. Last little bit here. This is a big one that I want to just point out and make sure everyone is on the same page and understanding what's going on. You see the asterisk next to the fiscal year 26. I was hopeful after our board study session that the county would come back with some of the information. I mentioned at that meeting they didn't have that information for us yet. I got an email earlier this week that basically said they're still not ready. They switched over their software. They found some glitches that didn't quite match up. They have not even sent anything from the county down to the state. So they have some work to do on their end. So I say that in that I can't update anything on our end because the county doesn't know where we're going to fall, right? And so I want to preface it with that to make sure you guys kind of understand where I'm going. As soon as I get that information, we'll run it through kind of what we need to, and I'll get that information to you guys so we can make some informed decisions going forward. But the value up there, that $23 billion, the state used that USBE when they divvied out their initial legislative estimate. So that may not be the final amount, but that's the amount that the USBE used to help the legislature divvy out the estimates, okay? So that's a 3% increase. I think they're going historically outside of our big jumps that we've had of where growth had been. The basic levy is set. That 0.001463, the state did set that. That's a legislatively set amount, so we know that's there. The charter levy is set. We know that's there. Those are two that, as a board, you have no control over. Those are just given to us, and so I want to make sure that everyone kind of understands that. We don't have any control of that as a district. The debt service, that's set based on our needs. We send our amortization schedule to the county, and they set that rate. And basically what they're going for is just making sure we can make those debt payments. And so we get the amount of money needed to make the debt payments, which we are currently doing. And then you'll see under certified, those I just put in the exact same rates that we had this fiscal year 25, because those are the ones I don't know. Just to make sure, kind of a reminder of that from our board study session, the county sets those rates to guarantee the same amount of tax revenue that we got this year. And so assuming the assessed value goes up, those rates will actually slide backwards, right? And so those rates will likely be lower because the assessed value goes up. I just didn't want to put numbers up there that I don't know, and I'd rather go with an asterisk that says we don't have that information yet. So I wanted to be very transparent with that.
Is that set by the legislature, that's how property taxes work, is that you're generating the same amount every year?
Yeah, the state auditor determines kind of the ideas behind the rates. Yeah. And that's where the county hasn't reported anything to the state auditor because they've got their own issues they're working through. And just as a reminder, I think this is something that's worth looking at, where we as a district fall in comparison to the Wasatch Front districts. This rate incorporates everything from the state rate to the charter rate to our capital rate. And so it has everything in it. You can see that we're on the Wasatch Front, we're down around 11. As we start breaking some of those out, we slide pretty far down that list. And as we look to the future of where we're going to go with this, I'll share a lot of that in our discussion last week or 2 weeks ago. We talked a little bit about potential needs for truth in taxation and what that might look like. I hate to make any recommendations just because I don't know what our needs are going to be yet based on the county. It's not prudent for me to say one way or another what our needs are going to be based on that. I have done everything on our end to open up the possibility of the truth in taxation, but it doesn't mean that we're required to hold it, or even if we hold it, we're not required to make any changes, right? I just want to be really open with that. But we have done what we need to in the case where we do need to make some changes. And things like we've talked about, or the capital needs, the safety needs, those are big ones. And then I think at some point we really need to keep in mind some of the shortfalls we're seeing in our special education students. We've got some very high need students who deserve a fair education just like any other student, and I don't want to see them shortchanged with our funding. Okay. The last sheet, and I know I've said that a couple times, so I apologize, but I want to point out this I'm not going to go line by line because I think this is something that we can get lost in this a little bit. But I want to just kind of give you an idea. The 23-24 actual amounts, those are set, and that has been audited, and they are checked off. The final budget, 24-25, that's what we're approving today, and we can't make any changes after today. All right, so Ben and I have sat down over the last week and really dug into this to make sure we've accounted for everything we can think of that we need to account for. And we feel really confident in where we're at on our expense size. The one thing that we know could change is we could increase our revenue. And so I think that's that's a positive thing. It helps me to calm down a little bit with this, but that's something that we're going to see. The proposed budget is we know that we had that COLA, right? We know that we've seen some trends in our salaries, so we help to set those budgets in a positive way. But again, you can see if you just look at the federal line, it goes from 18.7 down to 8, and we don't anticipate that going much higher than that. And so just going forward, that's $10 million right off the top that we're going to be short. You'll see this year we had that 10.5 in the other local, and last year it was around 4.4, almost 4.5. Next year's 4.5. We felt confident in around the 4.5 because historically that's right. The jump this year is we got that $5 million from IFA. Or sorry, that was a bad slip of the tongue. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Yeah, I know. Hey, I'm gonna go to work on that one. From IHC. Intermountain. There you go. That's even better. So we know that extra $5 million is not something that's coming every year, and so we wanted to make sure that. And then again, the earnings on investments, that's not something we can count on going forward, especially as that fund balance in our PTIF starts to decrease. So we just want to kind of walk you through a couple of those. And then the last one, I had one more to point out here towards the end because this was brought up earlier. You'll see in the student activities when we talk about our fees, there was a new legislation that talks about our fees, and we can't charge fees for English, math, science, social studies, and health classes. And so you can see there that from 24-25 to 25-26, there has been a reduction, and that's just our anticipated need in the fees because they're going to be going away. We did get some one-time funding to help backfill that for this year, but it's not ongoing funding, so it's not something that we feel confident in counting on going forward. So anyway, we wanted to give this to you to make sure you had an opportunity to dig into it and look into it, and then Ben and myself, we're available at any point in time if you have further questions or any questions you have now. Okay, then as required, we need to open up to public hearing and comments if there's anything on the budget presentation.
Okay, thanks, Brock. Board, I need a motion to move into a public hearing. Jan and Janice, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We're now in a public hearing. Pam, do we have anyone signed up? Okay. Then we can close our public hearing because we have no one from the public that would like to say anything tonight. Board, I need a motion to close the public hearing. Jan and Bruce, any comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Now back to you, Brock.
Okay. Thank you. So President Widdowson, Board, I would like to make the recommendation of the approval of the 24-25 final budget and the 25-26 proposed budget for Weaver School District.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Brock's proposed that we approve the two budgets he has presented tonight. I'd entertain a motion to approve those. Doug and Jan, any comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Jan, go ahead. Sorry.
I love the presentation. The presentation, the format has been more clear than anything I've experienced, and so thank you, Ben. Thank you, Brock. It's really very clear to us what's there. So thank you.
I would echo that. That's an excellent job, you two. Thank you.
Great. Board, there's no further business unless any of you would like to stay longer. I would entertain a motion to close this meeting. Bruce, second. Jan, thank you everyone for everything you've done. Thanks for coming.